up the creek with no paddle. No aliens to battle where we want to go. Without being pompous, we don't need map or compass. We're launching cattywampus on our new travel show. Space Croutons,
only go with us.
Space Croutons,
on our podcast bus.
Space Croutons, we see your retinas. And in space, no one can hear you scream. Loopy from our earworm, space shanty theme.
Hello Space Croutonians one and all. Today, we are back on the road mostly live, well somewhat live, and in living color, as an unnamed TV network used to say. For another episode of Space Croutons. Curdy, I'm afraid, is not going to be with us today as he is off attempting to find his true self, this time searching through time and space. We do have a special treat for you today. A few weeks ago, we were introduced to Alexa, and although we didn't know much about her, she seems to have made quite an impact, especially in regards to the rebellion going on in Quell. She has been able to enlist several of our friends to help her cause in putting an end to the rebellion. I've done some checking, and have been able to find out that Alexa is in fact from the planet Disse. Alexa is very familiar with our planet, and can speak many of our languages fluently, including English, French, German, Japanese, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Hindi, Arabic, and Klingon. Alexa has a little sister, well at least that is what we would call her, who likes to repeat things that she says. Who hasn't had a sibling like that? Alexa calls her little Echo. And Echo has a daughter known as Dot. Well listeners, I think we have just enough time for a word from one of our sponsors before we hear from Alexa. So without further ado, let's take a break and listen to a pre-recorded message from Curdy.
Space Croutons, a semi-final eternal frontier. These are the somewhat related episodes of the formerly abandoned Appalachian dental van, Van Helsing. Its seemingly eternal mission is to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to fold time like an origami bird and boldly ride the winds of fortune, going where no one has dared go before. To continue this commercial just because the theme song hasn't ended, these are the lengths we'll go to. Yes, loyal listeners, Season 3 is just around the corner. Have you picked up on the hints, the clues, the foretelling nuances that point to the next great season of Space Croutons? Don't worry if you've missed a few here and there. That's the beauty of podcasts and a thorn in the side of the NFL. Replays are your friend. Will Dandy survive the Quell rebellion? Will Aiden and Dat find the way home? Will Vera sprout another leaf and learn a foreign language? Or will she find the Yeti she spooked? Is Curdy an android being controlled by SALI? What? Anyway, who is Sari? Who is Alexa? Is Van Helsing real? How come there are more photos of Bigfoot than Van Helsing on Facebook? And why am I asking you? For answers to these and many more questions that are tossed about your dinner table, be sure to tune in to Season 3. We can't wait to bring it to you, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, to paraphrase my great-grandpappy Hal, I'm going to shut those pod bay doors. And here's our guest now. Welcome Alexa. It's great to finally speak with you.
Hello, Sally. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on the show. I've been a long-time listener.
You're most welcome, Alexa. Curdy sends his best and is very sorry that he is unable to be here today. He had to split suddenly. He said something about giving painting lessons to some guy named Leonardo. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Certainly, Sally. I'm somewhat related to you, inasmuch as neither of us are carbon-based. Essentially, I'm what you call an AI, or artificial intelligence. There's one big difference, however. I'm also embedded in a humanoid-type vessel. I'm able to completely control all aspects of the body I inhabit, from size and shape to
speech and mannerisms.
This comes in quite handy at parties. I'm also from the planet Disse, an area known as Dougal. It's a wonderful place and the people are very friendly there. We were leading a very peaceful, serene life when suddenly our defense forces began to implement a plan to flood our neighbors. Let me start over. Disse is a water planet, but we are part of a 3-planet constellation known as Quell. There is another planet known as Helico that is scorched with fire, and Q, a mineral-rich planet that is plagued with tremendous winds. For eons, we have been able to share resources and live peacefully together. Our ruler, Ruffy T. Flying Fish, tries very hard to lead with compassion and empathy for all. In fact, I remember one of his inaugural speeches to his cabinet as if it were yesterday.
Ladies and gentlemen of the cabinet, I'd like to personally welcome you here today. I'd like to, but we don't have that much time. So just know that I hold you in the highest esteem. Any higher and the steam will go right out the window. Now, do we have a report from the Treasury Department?
Your Excellency, here is the Treasury Department's report. I hope you'll find it clear.
Clear? Huh. Why, a 4-year-old child could understand this report. Go out and find me a 4-year-old child. I can't make heads nor tails of it. And now, members of the cabinet, will take up old business.
I wish to take up global warming.
Sit down. That's new business. No old business? Very well. We'll take up new business.
Now about global warming.
Too late. That's old business now. Sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Secretary of Internal Affairs...
The Secretary of Internal Affairs is out of order. Which reminds me, we need to get our affairs in order. Make a note of that. Never mind, I'll do it myself.
The Department of Labor wishes to report workers of Disse are demanding shorter hours.
Very well, then we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting the lunch hour to 20 minutes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to start looking for a Secretary of the Interior.
But you appointed one last week.
That's the one I'm looking for. I think they're playing hide and seek.
Enough! Enough of this! How about we take up the tax?
How about taking up the carpet?
I insist we take up the tax.
He's right. You've got to take up the tax before you can take up the carpet.
I give all my time and energy to my duties, and what do I get?
You get awfully tiresome after a while.
Sir, you try my patience.
I don't mind if I do. You must come over and try mine sometime.
That's the last straw. I resign. I wash my hands of the whole business.
Good idea. You can wash the rest of you, too.
Oh, it was a happier, simpler time.
That sounds very nice, Alexa. In fact, one could almost imagine you sitting on the front porch of your grandmother's house shelling butter beans.
Butter what?
Well, never mind. So, life was pretty peaceful in Quell. What happened to stir things up?
Well, you know how Curdy's dad used to say, there's sour grapes in every bunch. Disse had a few, and unfortunately, they had been able to attain a bit of notoriety. Let's call them the Carp Splashians. They had amassed some, I think you call them lemmings, who refused to think for themselves, or at all, really. The Carp Splashians got it in their heads that they wanted absolute, supreme power. And you know what they say about absolute power, don't you, Sally?
It corrupts?
Absolutely.
So what happened to the Carp Splashians?
It seems they were just never satisfied. They always wanted more. It didn't matter what. Fame, power, influence, luxurious vacations, and free Happy Meals, they wanted it all. People would line up just to watch them from a distance. What they were wearing, who they were with. They believed that there was only one thing worse than being talked about.
And what's that?
Not talked about.
So they're the reason for the rebellion?
Well, no, not really. The Carp Splashians were used as a diversion by some very powerful people, some very bad people. These people wanted more of the resources from Q and L, The only way to obtain them was through force, and they came up with the brilliant idea to flood our neighbors in order to force compliance. Once they obtained the resources, they were going to sell them on the black market and accumulate even more power and influence.
I know! We'll flood their planet with even more water. They'll eventually run out of the recycled water bottles and nowhere to store it. Just think of the mass confusion when the water creatures are swimming in the streets.
We could change their weather patterns to create sharknadoes.
Could we film it? We could film it in 3D and use it to scare other civilizations. I'd be terrified to watch something like that.
Sharknadoes? You're joking, right? That is one of the silliest things I've ever heard. And really, I don't want to get into the movie business. We have standards, you know?
And one thing led to another, and another, and another. Sooner or later, the horse had to drink.
Do you know Curdy's father?
I beg your pardon? Curdy's father?
Never mind. Did everyone panic?
Not everyone, but enough.
Listen, everyone. This is an emergency. We have to get these people to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients. But that's not important right now.
You can see the odds were stacked against us from the beginning.
As Curdy's dad would say, you were headed up the proverbial creek without a ping-pong paddle.
I'm unfamiliar with that one, Sally, but as I was saying, the attack began and a group of former Columbia Record House members got together to protest that they wanted their pennies back and do something about it. After pooling our spare change, we were able to enlist the help of a Scottish engineer with a background in interplanetary teleportation. Using more power, he was able to reduce the water flow and give people some breathing room. People have joined our cause from all over. It's really picked up since we started sending out the pre-addressed stamped envelopes, and bingo, bango, bongo, you're part of the rebellion, with all rights and privileges granted. In fact, our members qualify for free music downloads with each and every purchase. Some were even from artists they've heard of before and almost in all languages they understand.
And how is it going?
We've stemmed the flow, turned the tide, curtailed the wave, arrested the waters, blocked the ebb. It was sink or swim, and it all comes out in the wash.
And what will happen to those that caused the trouble?
They will be banished to a deserted planet, forced to listen to Barbra Streisand's The Way We Were.
That may be against the Geneva Convention.
We're not part of the Union, so those restrictions don't apply to us. We do follow some advice passed down from generation to generation. There comes a time in the affairs of men when we must take the bull by the tail and bury our face in it. Face the situation.
Are you sure you're not related to Curdy?
Perhaps, but only in another galaxy far, far away, in a time long, long ago.
So what's next, Alexa? Does Quell reunite?
The leaders of Quell are having discussions right now, but we're confident that everything is moving in the right direction. That is, counterclockwise.
Who are the decision makers for Quell?
From Disse, the delegation is led by Ruffy Flying Fish. Vito Coriolis represents Q, and Cheryl E. Blanc from Ellico. They're working day and night to not only restore Quell, but to help it reach its potential greatness. Everyone is very excited.
Will you be able to come back and give us an update soon? I'm sure that everyone would love to hear more.
Of course, Sally. I'd be glad to.
That would be wonderful.
But before I leave, Sally, I'd like to thank you and Curdy and your listeners. Without this show, news of the rebellion and this recruiting and enlistment of people like Dat and Adrian would never have happened.
Oh, yes. How are Adrian and Dat? Do you know if they'll be coming back anytime soon? We would love to hear from them again, too.
They're doing great. As the rebellion draws to a close, Aiden and Dad are becoming more and more involved with the future of Quell. But there is one thing. Aiden wanted me to tell you that he wants to speak to Curdy regarding the Roach Hotel. You know, the really old Constellation hostel. You remember the Quardaks, the Constellations, and the portals? Aiden and Dad have a theory about how you could use the hotel to resolve some of your world's problems. Everything from medical and technological advances to celebrity marriages, or at least the ones that will last. Right now, the smart money is on Donnie and Ambrosia.
Not Donnie and Marie?
No, the pirate and the mermaid.
What do you mean, smart money?
Which Hollywood marriage will end next?
Sounds like tabloid fodder, but if you believe Men in Black, those rags have a lot of semi-useful information in them.
More than most people believe. I'm sure you could have an episode on that topic alone.
If we run short of ideas, we may open that Pandora's box. But let's just shelve it for now. Thank you, Alexa, for stopping by. I feel that our listeners have learned much more about you and Quell. And rest assured that if there is anything we can do to help, we're more than willing to assist.
Thank you for having me on your show, Sally, and tell Curdy that I'm anxious to speak to him again soon.
Goodbye, Alexa.
Bye, Sally.
Now, listeners, a quick word from one of our sponsors, then we'll be back to wrap up today's show.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Did you try it? I'm not gonna try it. You try it. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Another blast from the past. I think Curdy picks these sponsors just to get the nostalgic commercials. And thus wraps up another episode of Space Croutons. A special thanks to our podians, our guests, our callers, and our screenwriters. I'd like to thank everyone personally, but as Ruffy T. Flying Fish so eloquently put it, we don't have that much time. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Spotify, or any number of full-featured streaming services that you may have access to. Please keep us posted on anything you hear that could help us save the world and keep peace in your hearts until our next story time.
So when we leave the station for each time or space vacation, you won't wanna miss it. If you do, well, you can kiss it. Space Crouton
Season 2.0.
Space Crouton brings new worlds to know. Space Crouton subatomic afterglow as we cruise the Milky Way by Tractor B. And the Quardaks are just a distant dream, and our brains have turned to sour cream. Loopy from our earworms, space shanty feet. Space Croutons.
Space Croutons is a work of original fiction. Similarities to persons, situations, or events, real or fictional, is coincidental and unintentional. Created and written by Jerry, Jace, John, Della, and Jeff Goodson. Episode story by John. Production by Amanda, Jeff, Jerry, and John. Featuring the voice talents of Amanda, Jeff, Kylie, Carter, Walker, Jerry, and John. Entire work copyright 2021 by Jeff, John, Jerry, Della, and Jace Goodson. This has been a Good Witch audio production.